Welcome to Conversations with Aunt Elizabeth, the podcast inspired by my book, I'm a Registered Dietitian, Now What?, where I have the absolute joy to sit back, relax, and have a conversation about nutrition with a variety of people who share their personal story of passion and purpose, especially registered dietitians. Today's conversation is with Chef Abbie Gellman, a registered dietitian and owner of her own culinary business. She specializes in culinary nutrition education, culinary nutrition media, and educating other professionals in this evolving space. Please enjoy my conversation with Abbie. When we met, it was back in October on a little crop trip, which was super awesome to meet you. And I didn't realize the expansiveness of your business and all the crazy, amazing things that you're doing. So I can't wait to talk to you about that. But first, I want to know, kind of tell me your journey into dietetics and into culinary and how you found that to be your passion.
My journey is kind of long, so I won't give you the full version. But it's kind of interesting because when you're like, wait, what? And then you hear it and it makes sense. So I was a hotelier at Cornell for undergrad for my bachelor's degree. Which is basically, it's the hotel school at Cornell. It's the business school if you're an undergrad for the most part. So I worked in restaurants and hotels when I was in high school and then decided that's what I wanted to do, was do hospitality. So I went to school there. I was good at finance, and all the business classes were revolved around the hotel and restaurant industry. And while I was there, we had to take a cooking class, and I really enjoyed it. And it was like food science, but also we had cooking lab, but everything we did was very rich, very French based, very, heavy. And so one of my friends, when I was a freshman, was pre-med, and she was going to take a nutrition 101 course. And I was like, let me just take this with you. So I ended up with 1,000 kids taking this nutrition 101 class, and they were all bio or pre-med or something. And there was me, the hotelier, and didn't know anything about the human body. So I had to learn all about the human body. And I said, well, this is pretty awesome, but I'm not changing my major. And then I kind of kept on my path and graduated and moved to New York City and did hospitality, financial and operational consulting, and was kind of I'm always thinking about food. I kept going back and obsessively looking at the NYU and Columbia University nutrition programs and thinking about food. So I ended up, I was probably 24. I went to culinary school. Instead of going to get my MBA, I said, I'm going to go to culinary school. I keep thinking about food. Let's see what happens. So I did that. And I worked in some restaurants in New York and realized that working in restaurants is pretty terrible, especially in New York when you're in the kitchen. Went back to what I was doing before. So was doing more consulting, but food and beverage companies. Mm-hmm. And then went to Wall Street and covered restaurants. And then again, working 100 hours a week and just miserable. So in 2007, I had gotten married. I was pregnant and I was working at Goldman Sachs 100 hours a week and said, this is terrible. And quit while I was pregnant.
Just said, screw it, I'm done.
I was I can't do this anymore. I'll never see my kid. I'm chained to a desk. There's got to be something better. So I left, and then everything blew up. That's when Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers dissolved. Oh. And yeah, so I was oh, well, that was good timing. And then my daughter was born, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to school for nutrition because there's got to be a way to cook that's healthy. Why is all the cooking that I've done terrible? Or just, you can't, it's not a way of life. It's not a day to day. It's a buttery luxury, Yeah, exactly. So I ended up switching then. So I was 11 years out of college, and I went back and did all my DPD credits at a college in New York City, and then went to Teachers College, Columbia University, for my master's. And had already worked in restaurants and all that stuff. So when I was there, I found out from like meeting new friends and all the dietetic students that nobody really cooks, that it was a very small percentage of us who actually knew how to cook and wanted to cook and had a culinary angle. So that's when I decided, like, well, this is what I'm going to do. That's the short version.
That's the short version. That is, well, and I'm sure, I mean, I think, again, like you said, like restaurant hospitality, it's kind of glamorous when you're kind of going through school. And then once you kind of actually physically have to work in it, it's not glamorous at all.
Yeah. And it's nights and weekends and holidays, and you're getting paid, you know, minimum wage to do a grill line. It's pretty bad.
How was culinary school? Was that easy for you, tough for you? Did you feel like it was easy because you really were passionate about it?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was on the easier side, partly because a lot of the stuff that they were teaching I had already done, because I did take cooking in college. It wasn't obviously a whole year like a real culinary school, but a lot of the like, you know, mother sauces and here are the basics of cooking and some of that stuff I had already done, and I cooked all the time myself anyway. But the professional kitchen side of things, that took a little bit longer, because then and there's more in terms of like perfection, and you have to dice at a certain size, and a lot more pressure because you're on the line, or you're, you know, it's a lot more around getting stuff done and out the door. It could be pretty stressful, but I really enjoyed it a lot.
Do you miss it at all?
Sometimes. When I first finished my internship, I had a job that was a consulting company, but it was tied to a restaurant. And it was a fine dining restaurant that had a chef and a dietitian in the kitchen together. And I was in the consulting arm. So I was able to go to the restaurant and kind of cook in a professional kitchen every once in a while. And that's where I did recipe development. So it was nice to be there sometimes. But but now I don't get to do it very much unless I have a client who is in food service. So I do miss it a little bit, but it can be
just
stressful.
A little.
Just a little. I do like cooking at home whenever I want instead.
Right. Oh, sure. It probably frees up so much more time to actually do that at home.
Yeah, exactly.
So why did you decide to get your master's? Because I mean, you didn't have to get your master's, did you, at the time?
I kind of did, because I already had a bachelor's degree. So if it was almost like my choices were to go back and do it. Exactly. Yeah. Like I would have had to get my bachelor's. I probably would have spent the same amount of time and not gotten a master's out of it. You know what I mean? So it was probably, the whole thing probably took me about 4 years, because I did the New York Presbyterian Hospital internship, which was a full year, full-time DI.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot full time. Was it all clinical then? Were you mostly clinical? Yeah. Yeah,
I was mostly clinical. We were in the hospital system here. And then they just sent us through on rotations, and the food service was at the hospital. But it gave me a good idea of what the hospital's like and how to apply it from a culinary perspective. And also now I know I knew I didn't want to work in a hospital after that too.
Mm-hmm. Food service in a hospital, I'm sure, is much. I mean, there's still a culinary aspect to food service in a hospital, but it's not like working in a restaurant food service type of situation. Oh, yeah. Totally different. I actually, when I was younger and was like, I'm going to change the hospital food system, I would have loved to have gone in and actually like made it better, because there was a lot of, it's like a cafeteria style. There was a lot of processed food. The things that special diets, even like diabetes, still got like packaged muffins and bagels and all this stuff. It didn't jive very well, but that's a whole other. Yeah, that is a whole other ball of wax. Yeah. So I figured get people before they're in the hospital, hopefully, or after they're out of the hospital. Mm-hmm. Right. I like that mindset too. I kind of was drawn to more of that before they get sick kind of thing. So yeah, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got done with your internship, what did the job landscape look like for you? Because like you said, there wasn't a lot dietitian culinary. So that was probably pretty foreign to people when it came to job opportunities.
I got lucky because there's very few jobs that I could have where I would get paid a salary. Like most of my stuff, I really have to hustle and figure out what I'm selling and do it on my own just because of that fact. A lot of the like corporate jobs for a hospital or corporate in a, like a Goldman Sachs building that has restaurant associates or something, maybe they have a dietitian, but those weren't culinary jobs. Those were simply food service jobs. So it doesn't exist really anymore, but at the time there was a fine dining restaurant in New York that had come over from Belgium, and it was a chef and a dietitian in the kitchen. And then they had a consulting arm that did nutrition analysis, created healthy menus. They did a lot of work with universities and a couple cruise ships and some new, at least in New York City, there's a lot more healthier restaurant options. So they did some work with that kind of thing. So I got a job there, which was great. So I had the job before I even graduated the internship. Wow. So I kind of rolled right into it, which was good. Yeah, I got lucky. So I was I was there for a year. There were two of us who were culinary and had gone to culinary school and worked in restaurants and were dietitians. And then there were two dietitians who had an interest in culinary, but were not culinary. And then because I had the business background and everything, I also got to be a project manager and kind of run projects, which was fun. You're like
the full package.
Dude, I have it all. I got it all, girl.
You do.
Everyone should be hiring me for everything.
Good. Because you do. I mean, like, those are all very important, assets that you have. Finance, you've got the culinary, and you have the nutrition expertise.
I think I have a good package.
Yeah. I'll pat you on the back. You're a great package.
We just need everybody else to know that has money to hire people.
Yes. And there's people out there that do.
Exactly. I just have to get them I just have to meet them all.
We'll make it happen. Abbie's worldwide tour, meet and greet.
That would be awesome. I did that for a year and then went out on my own. Maybe a little bit over a year later, because they ended up closing the restaurant and decided to try to reopen it someplace else. But then, whatever, it doesn't matter. There was a whole thing. So I said, well, I can just go and try to do this on my own. So I essentially hung out a shingle the next day. And started, I spent a year, the first year I had been working with a physician with the company, and she just hired me separately. So I had worked the first year, which was great, but then I needed to figure out what I was selling in addition to that. So where am I? I'm in year 5. I've been on my own for 5.5 years. So it took the year 2 and 3, I ended up working per diem at a hospital and really doing a lot of private chef work and networking and going to conferences and trying to meet companies and PR people and other dietitians who were on their own and really figuring out what I was selling. So year 4 and 5 look a lot different than the first 3 years, but it's always constantly evolving.
So that's when when you started your business, when you started your business, you kind of were doing all that work for the previous company. So you kind of transitioned into working with that physician.
Yep.
And then what was your goal then? Was it I want to do culinary / nutrition with other professionals? How did you kind of decide what route and where did you decide to go find these people? How difficult was that for you?
In the beginning or now? It's
probably both. But in the beginning, I would think it'd be really hard since you're kind of a newer dietitian. You're also, you don't know a lot about, companies and what they're willing to support and that type of stuff.
Yeah, certainly at the beginning, it was a lot harder. So I joined, one thing that was super helpful was I joined the DPG for nutrition entrepreneurs. So I was on the executive board. So I was able to go to Fancy then, and have most of it paid for. And then met a lot of other dietitians, especially in the New York City area, who also had their own businesses, weren't necessarily culinary, but had their own businesses. So suddenly I was able to meet people and interact with people about social media, because that was new to me. I'm Gen X, and like I do all of it, but I hate it so much. So, like learning how to do Instagram and Facebook for a business and all of that stuff was like an uphill battle for me. So in the beginning, I did a lot of that, just like putting myself out there, trying to meet people, figuring out almost like who my people were. And then through that, I met Julie Harrington, who lives in Jersey, but she also has a culinary background. So she and I started trying to talk about things that we had interest in, and eventually started working together on some stuff. But I also got divorced. So I had a daughter who at this point in time was like 6 years old, and I was hustling for her, right? So I had to figure out how to make money. So some people do private counseling to get cash flow, and I started doing private chef work to get cash flow. So I ended up calling a bunch of private practice RDs in Manhattan and said, this is what I do. If you have any clients that you think would want private chef services that are based on health issues, let me know. And now I have 3 RDs who send me people. And I still have some of those people cooking for them now years later. And I only do health issues, really. And I never have had to advertise that ever. So like, that's awesome. Yeah. That's like become the constant cash flow, I guess. And then just over time, I learned like what happens in the RD media world, or brand sponsorship, or whatever. And then I do stuff for free. I do a lot of stuff for free, and I feel like it's all about relationships. So if someone likes you and you do good work and you're not gouging them on pricing, then they'll come back to you, is kind of my thought process, if that makes sense. When I was working with that doctor,
a lot of people would disagree with that, because, like there's that controversy of don't do things for free. But I feel like when you're your own business, you have to put yourself out there and create those connections. Like
I agree. And I know that like we could probably talk about this forever. There's a lot of people who say don't ever work for free. But I think a couple things. I spent 10 years working in finance, and if you're working 100 hours a week, you're putting in your dues. And I feel like what I hear a lot is people not wanting to pay their dues and just expecting to walk into getting paid without having to prove themselves or showing that they can do quality work. And I don't agree with that at all. Like you have to prove your worth. But like I have relationships now where in the beginning I was like, yeah, sure. I just did a recipe for this. I'll put it up and tag you. You don't have to pay me anything. And now maybe a year later, they hire me for work. That's paying work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because they remember that. They're like, oh, she did this awesome thing for us. So
exactly.
We'll pay her back, pay it forward.
Exactly. Or they're a PR firm. Like I'm working with or maybe I did a solid for one of the people who works at the PR company, and they remember me when another client is looking for somebody, and then they refer me for that job. So it kind of all. So
do you get a lot of like referrals based on just the connections that you've made with various people?
I think so. I do. And I also do, I do the Produce for Better Health. I'm an ambassador for them, and that's free. We all do that for free. And they asked us to come back, and this year we're on year 2, and they're asking me to do things that are paid. So
that's awesome.
Because I think I like, you can catch more flies with honey. Like, that's obviously a saying, but I think it's true. Like, if you're a diva or you have high demands and you haven't proven why you should receive whatever it is you're asking for, like, I wouldn't hire you. I want to enjoy, like, I want to enjoy who I'm working with. So doesn't everybody, right? So like, if you act like a jerk and you say, well, I'm a dietitian, and even though I'm still in school or I just graduated and you have to pay me this much money, like, well, I'm going to find this other person because I know that they do good work and, whatever, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. It does. And especially like in your area where you want to work with brands and you want to work with companies and you want to make that part of your business.
Right.
That's not a place you can have that kind of attitude.
No. And also, like, well, when you're on your own, you got to hustle. When you're starting out, you got to make the relationships. And for me, I decided to do video because I was seeing some video. I started a few years ago and I was seeing some video, but it wasn't a lot. And a lot of people still are trying to do it themselves. So the quality wasn't good, I guess you could say, or as good as it could be. So I ended up, like, I prefer to take a risk and try something and see if it works. And then you see what happens. So I ended up hiring a private video guy who was also starting out at the time and sold like one video job. And now it's been like 2.5 years and we film every month, and he and I have both kind of grown together. But in the beginning, especially, I wasn't charging a fortune for videos. We just wanted to sell something. Mm-hmm. So like, exactly. So I think it's an important skill to be able to price things based on not just what you think your worth is, but what you're trying to get out of it. So you could think you're worth $10,000 for, one video, for example. But if you haven't done any videos or you're new at it and you're just trying to sell and get your work out there, then $500 is a nice price tag too. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Because that can give you residual income based on future jobs or collaborations that you might get from that one video.
Exactly.
Think of it as the big picture, not just that immediate gratification.
Correct. Like, you're trying to build a business. You're not just trying to get by month to month.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's culinary nutrition cuisine. That's kind of that's for business.
It is.
Correct.
I'm in the middle of changing it though.
Are you?
Yes.
Cool.
That was what I slapped on it.
Do you know what you're changing it to?
Yeah, that's what I slapped on when I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm doing this. Let's go. So now I hired, like, I'm redoing the website and branding and logo and all of that stuff. So hopefully it's going to launch soon, but it's just going to focus more on my name. So it'll be Chef Abbie Gellman, and then my credentials after there, and then we changed the logo. Only because if people don't know who I am or know anything about me, they don't know what culinary nutrition cuisine is. But if they see my name, then at least there's kind of a branding thing there.
The connection.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So we'll see what happens. But culinary nutrition cuisine will still lead to my stuff. But I'm in the middle
you have
of it
to
right
shift
now.
In your business.
Yeah,
you have to shift in your business as you evolve. And I love your videos. Like
Thank you.
You were someone that your videos had never been on my radar. And I've taken quite a few of your recipes to do in my own work, because I'm like, oh, that's easy and that's delicious. And like your cookie dough recipe. Oh my God.
Thanks.
Made that yesterday. It's delicious.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's so good. But I feel like if there's not dietitians kind of following you that are interested in culinary, I feel like you kind of set the tone for what culinary and dietetics kind of cross and how they meet. And your videos are awesome. And people love videos. No one will read stuff, but they'll watch stuff. So I feel like video is where it's at when it comes with culinary stuff.
Agreed. And thank you. I appreciate it. I obviously spend most of my time on recipes and videos. You spend a lot of time.
Yeah. You spend a ton of time. You have to, because I'm assuming you're in the kitchen, like, or doing that for a full day or two every month.
Oh, when I film? Yeah, we film one day a month, and we've been doing it so long now. I think we've filmed 24 times in 2 years. Well, in 2.5 years, 24 times. But yeah, we've got it like clockwork now because he and I have been doing it so long. But I make a production packet ahead of time. I usually test everything myself. And then I have everything set to how it goes. So if it's a counter recipe only, or if I have to use the stove or the oven because we have to move the cameras, like it's a whole thing. And then I have someone who comes and helps with social media during that, and someone who helps like with the culinary prepping side of that. And then some things, if you think about it, like I have to cook ahead. So if I have a recipe like a pot roast, I'm not going to film 4 hours of a pot roast. Right?
No.
So like, I think I had 3 whole pot roast recipes when we filmed it because I tested one and then the day before and cooked one and then cooked one on filming. So I had 3 separate full pot roast recipes. So like through the magic of television, suddenly it's done.
Yeah. But yeah, people don't think of that though. I mean, you're right. You probably, there's a lot of food involved in doing your videos and recipe development.
Oh yeah. 100%. It's a lot of work, but
well, you're fed. Fun. You're fed for it. You do it all in your own home?
I do now. Yeah. I'm November 2019, I moved. Sorry, 2018. What year is it? 2020.
Okay.
November. Yeah. I've been in my new place for like a year and 2 or 3 months, 3 months. So as soon as I was going from friend to friend. So I live in Manhattan, so you can't, to set up the equipment, there's 3 cameras in here, plus a lot of other stuff. It takes a ton of space. So we couldn't film in my old apartment. It was like a railroad kitchen. So I had a handful of friends and one restaurant that let me come. So I would kind of take turns. So on the first year of videos, you can see like once I'm in a professional kitchen, another time I'm in this other kitchen. So I would just rotate through them. But then my new place, I can film here, obviously. So it makes it much easier. We were kind of like our own roaming studio because I had to bring everything with me. But
that would be exhausting. Yeah. Oh my God.
But now
that's a lot of work.
Now here.
Well, I think it's great. You mentioned that you kind of tapped into a newer videographer, like that was kind of trying to get his own business started. Yeah. That's a great kind of tip because I feel like there's lots of people kind of doing that now. So you don't have to go with the first contact who's probably super expensive. Right. Maybe there's someone else that might be a better fit that is trying to get their business started too.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because with that, so with us, on the creation, producing, like talent side, we're on the front end, right? Like I have to prep everything ahead and then actually film. And then I'm done essentially. And then they're on the tail end because they have to go back and edit everything, which takes them a ton of time too. So if you're hiring someone, those are kind of like the 2 separate places. But that's also why I tell people not to do it themselves. And I know people want to try to save money and do it themselves, but filming your own videos and then editing them and making sure they look professional is, that's hours and hours of work.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a blooper reel? Do you do a blooper reel?
We used to do bloopers, but he said they're a pain to put together after the fact. So sometimes we do them during the day. Like if you watch, whenever I film, we put up videos and stuff while I'm doing it. So there's usually funny stuff in there.
Okay.
I do a lot of dancing because I'm like standing around between stuff.
Sure.
And then sometimes we'll do a lot. We'll like just at this point, like we're trying to try new stuff out. So he got like a Wi-Fi box so we can do live. We can film live and do like an Instagram or Facebook live while I'm filming, and he can show 3 camera angles. Like it's pretty amazing.
Oh, Oh,
So we started working on that, and that's pretty fun.
That's very fun. Yeah. So what is, now that Chef Abbie Gellman is transitioning, what does the future kind of look like for you and your business? I know you're working on a new project with Julie.
Yep.
Tell me more about that.
Well, in 2019, I started doing a lot of work, helping other, I always got a lot of questions from other dietitians about culinary stuff. So Julie and I managed to get a 4-part culinary nutrition webinar with Today's Dietitian last year. So we did that, and we got, each one was a different disease state. So we did diabetes, we did aging, we did GI, and renal and cancer. And we got 2 of them, over 3,000 people tuned in live. And then the other 2, awesome. Yeah, it was amazing. And then the other 2, I think, were 2,000 people live and 1,500 people live. So, and they're all on replay too. They've gotten thousands and thousands of views at this point. So we kind of realized then that, and these were just hour-long webinars of us talking about how to have a culinary nutrition, food first approach for that disease state. And then we filmed videos, recipe videos, and, plunked them throughout. So we decided that our dietitians and other health professionals clearly want this knowledge and help. So we did a hands-on workshop in July in New York just to see if there was an interest. And it was a summer Saturday in July. We got 12 people, which was great. So we are trying to do a whole series of those in New York this year, geared towards any kind of health professional. So RDs certainly definitely want dietitians, but also doctors and, physician assistants and nurses and PTs, anyone who gets asked, culinary nutrition stuff should get something out of it. So we've got, I think, 10 events set up in 2020. Some of them are hands-on all-day workshops, and some of them are shorter events where we're just cooking and kind of talking and teaching some stuff, but nobody has to cook themselves. And then I've ended up getting a lot of speaking stuff around that too. So I think I'm talking at 4 state meetings in the spring, all around recipe development and how to do it properly, and how to do a culinary demo properly, and all of that kind of stuff. And then a couple of physician conferences too, where I'm talking about culinary nutrition, which should be good.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yes. Abbie came to our iOS Academy meeting this past year and did the talk on the recipe development, which I know was very beneficial for quite a few of our members. Cause that's what I think dietitians, they want that type of guidance when it comes to, we all like to cook. We all love food. Yeah. So how can we make it even a bit more professional? So that was a great presentation.
Thank you. I'm going to do that a couple places, and they want me to do a demo in it too, which I'm sad I didn't do one at Iowa, but yeah, it should be fun. It should be fun.
Yeah, that'll be very fun. Well, is that all those classes, are they on your website, or where can we find your upcoming kind of class schedule?
The best place, we have a whole website for it, is culinarynutritionworkshops.com.
Okay.
So it's got the whole schedule for 2020 up, and all the event registration links are there too, in case anyone is in the New York City area or wants to come visit. And also, we're taking the workshops on the road. So if you live in a different state and you know that it would be something that would resonate with other dietitians and health professionals, or even consumers, we're happy to talk about how to get that done as well, because we know not everyone can come to New York. So,
okay. And I'll put that link in the show notes. So if people have an interest or want to bring it to their state, or have an event that they want to host and make you and Julie part of that would be really awesome.
Thank you. That would be great.
Well, it's very interesting to follow your journey. I know it's just going to get bigger and better
I hope
because
so.
I know that and how we connected through some egg stuff. You do some collaborations with different egg groups as well.
Yep. I love Egg Nutrition Center.
And it's always such a good connection to connect your food with the farm. It's the best. I think that's
absolutely
a great opportunity for guys. So
absolutely.
Well, my dear, I know. What are you doing today? Or do you have lots of plan today? Are you cooking today? What's on your agenda?
Today, I had this. Julie and I, so because the webinars did so well, we also got our own, well, this is actually another plug. We're going to do our own webinars too. So I purchased a software platform for webinars. And we redid the Today's Dietitian ones and made them more focused on whatever the topic was. So we're in the process of re-recording them. And then we're going to offer those also for free. So keep an eye out for that. That will also be on the Culinary Nutrition Workshops.com site. Okay. So we're supposed to record culinary nutrition and heart disease today. So we're going to do that. And then I'm getting ready for a workshop. A hands-on workshop is on Saturday. So we're finalizing the recipes and the itinerary agenda and getting groceries, all of that good stuff is happening.
Oh my gosh. You are a busy woman. You are a very busy woman. It's exciting. It's exciting, busy to see you. I feel like you're kind of pioneering this area of dietetics, which is good.
Oh, thank you.
For sure.
We definitely need it for sure. So I'm happy to be focusing on it because hopefully it's helping people, both health professionals and consumers, right? Like if we can get everyone cooking more or have more knowledge, it's only good.
Well, I love your take on that. Like you're definitely in it for revenue and income, but you're also in it to help people. And I think that's the root. Yeah. That's like kind of the root of your business and kind of all your passion when you do things.
Yeah. You got to enjoy what you're doing, right? Especially if you have your own business. If you're having your own business just to try to make money because you heard X, Y, or Z makes a lot of money, you're never going to do well because it's so much work and it's so much hustling. Like you have to really enjoy it.
For sure. I'm sure you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did all that in the beginning. And you probably think that now. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing all this now for who knows what will happen in the next 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't do as much private chef work now as I did in the beginning, but there were days where I was doing private chef work like Monday through Friday and then doing a bunch of other stuff at night and on the weekends, plus working per diem at a hospital. Like it was insane.
And being a mom.
Being a mom. Yeah.
You had like 3 full-time jobs.
Yeah, exactly. And
you're still standing. So congratulations.
Thank you. I am still standing. And I'll repeat again, I'm a Gen X. So I'm not like a younger, full of life millennial at the moment. I'm weary and old and getting it done.
No, this is keeping you young. So is your daughter.
There you go. Sure. Well, she's almost 13 now, which is crazy. She's in 7th grade.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. She'll definitely be keeping you young from here on out. You're going to have to keep up with that.
I know.
All right. So I want to end with my hard questions. Share with me some of your favorite foods or foods that you enjoy.
Oh, I actually like that question better. People usually ask me what my favorite thing to cook is, and that I can't answer because I have to cook too much stuff for other people.
Yeah.
But the favorite foods I enjoy, they're funny. We make air pop popcorn all the time. So favorite snack is air pop popcorn, and we use butter here, butter and salt.
Yeah.
That's like a basic.
I love that you have an air popper.
Oh yeah,
I have one
it's like
too.
20 years old.
And I was like, Yes, mine is like from my parents' kitchen back in the like early 90s.
Yes, it's awesome. You can't buy good ones anymore. Nobody has them.
You can't. That's great.
It's part of it. We eat a lot of like rice and beans and chicken. I know that's kind of boring, but my daughter will open a can of beans and make her own vinaigrette and eat it for like a snack. So we do a lot of that. Like we do a lot of rice and beans and roasted vegetables and chicken and like I do a lot of basic stuff, like a lot of plain roasted things, because again, like, I mean, you've seen my videos. Nobody wants to cook for 2 hours on a Wednesday night, not even me. So, you know, like everything is pretty straight. A lot of chili. I throw a lot of stuff in a pot and then just eat it all together.
Yeah, because you get all your food groups in one swing, so it's like perfect.
Exactly. Like most of our stuff is Mediterranean style, I guess, but yeah, it's
which you have a cookbook in.
I do. No. It's Mediterranean diet. Yeah. So that book is very reflective of kind of how I eat on a regular basis. Like there's definitely recipes in there that I just do every week, and so wrote them down, kind of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's some. I love your salmon in there.
Oh, good. Yeah, that one's been around forever with the orange glaze or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so good. Like that's what I'm not a big salmon lover, but I do like that recipe a lot.
Thank you.
Yes. Share with me some beverages that you enjoy.
Scotch.
There's that culinary girl right there. Scotch. Some hard liquor. Yep. Chef Abbie.
Scotch, neat, and Hefeweizen, like wheat beer. Otherwise, I drink a lot of tea. Like I probably have at least 2 or 3 pots of tea during the day. Like, you know, like an herbal one.
Just black tea?
No, in the morning, maybe I have coffee, and then maybe a couple hours later, I'll have some black tea, but then I'll have like a green tea or a peppermint tea in the afternoon, and then some kind of like chamomile or herbal wind down drink at night. So I do a lot of that.
Like, yeah. Kind of
exactly.
You need that after your Scotch benders that you have. So
all my Scotch benders. Yep. You know it, girl.
I don't know when you have time for that, but do you have a favorite scent or smell?
I really like pine tree smells, like Christmas tree smells, I guess.
Yeah.
And then like that's a big one. And then like a lavender, like nighttime essential oil situation. Mm-hmm. Usually I find pretty calming. Mm-hmm.
Do you like listening to certain things, music or anything that you enjoy that way?
I do. I usually always have music on when I'm cooking. And it's funny. It's either musical theater, because we go to all the shows in New York. Like we're big.
Yeah,
I take Olivia to everything. I've seen so much. So sometimes I put on just like the best Broadway tunes or a certain Broadway show. Or I really like classic rock or grunge rock. So like Nirvana, all of that stuff. That was my high school, college years. So like all of that stuff. And Led Zeppelin, all of that kind of thing. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have to have something to dance to while you're in the kitchen, right?
Exactly.
Dance parties in the kitchen.
Exactly. If I'm doing work at the computer, which I have trouble sitting down for long periods of time, but I can't do anything with words in it. Like that always happened from the time of working in finance and stuff. So I will listen to like classical music maybe, but if it has words in it, I get too distracted.
You just try. You're like, you start singing and jammed out.
Exactly.
And what brings you joy in life, Abbie?
Cooking, definitely. What else? I like running. Like I'm a runner and do like some sort of cardio, I guess, mostly running, some spinning. So that actually helps me a lot. I think that brings me joy because I get a little almost like time to myself and not doing work and can kind of get some brain space back. So I do enjoy that.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure your brain is on all the time. Like every
all
day.
The time.
All
yeah.
Day. Yeah. You probably do need a break for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it was so lovely talking with you.
Thank you.
I hope we get to see each other in person again sometime in the near
Agreed.
future. And thanks for all you do for our profession.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. It was fun. I love talking to you.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with the amazing Chef Abbie. She has so many great things going on in the culinary nutrition space. Her videos and recipes are awesome. So is her cookbook. It's called the Mediterranean Dash Diet. So if you want to kind of know more about what she cooks at home, that's a great place to find some of her recipes. Head on over to the show notes to connect with her and learn more about her in-person culinary opportunities. Remember to be great always, find the joy in each day, and to start a conversation that truly matters.